Yep.
You're live. Are we on the
Hello,
shot?
everybody. We're so glad you could join us today to make some happy little paintings. Just like to introduce myself. I'm Bob Ross. My mother was a woman named Bethel, beautiful woman, dear to my heart. And I hope today I don't embarrass her with a painting that I'm about to do.
Hi, I'm also Bob Ross. My mother was Lynch.
I'll fix it in a sec, Becky.
And I'm looking forward to painting with you all today so you can discover the joy of painting.
And I'm also Bob. I am a relative of Gruber. And I am so happy to be here sharing our happiness with you. Now, I am acrylic Bob. So I'll give you some strategies for working in acrylic.
I'm Oil Bob. And this is my also apprentice, Oil Bob, too. And so we're going to show you how to work with oils today as we do this happy little painting. Are you ready?
Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you need a minute to get your materials prepped? Because I'll show you a little thing or two.
Good point, Bob.
Yeah.
Here are the colors for close proximity. Hold on here. You can let me know when you can see it. Yep. Down a little bit more. All right, here you can be mission control. We've got tech assistant Bob. Oh, it's under there. We go. Good. Bobette.
Lots of Bob.
Did you say hi? Here, hang on.
Hello.
All right, so I have myself some white. And then I have myself some watery white, but you can make that easy just with water. And some black. I have two blues. Now I have Prussian blue and phthalo blue, but this is a deeper blue, even if you had a warmer blue and a cooler blue, or any blue would do. I have a couple greens. Phthalo green, sap green. Happy little sap green for the trees. Two browns. I actually don't have the proper browns from my official Bob, but I have two browns. A lighter brown and a darker brown. So I went with burnt sienna and what did I go with?
Burnt sienna and raw sienna.
That's raw sienna. That's what I did. Yes, that's what I did. And then I have two reds. I have a alizarin crimson and bright red, but a cooler red and a darker red and a lighter red. If you have two reds, it'd be swell. And then I have three yellows: an ochre, a warm yellow, so it has bright yellow or cadmium, and a cool yellow of lemon. Close enough. If you don't have that, you'll make do. We'll be fine. I'm going to do a little trick when I get my canvas ready, because I'm working in acrylic and they can blend away in oil. And I'm going to this is Becky Grigsby Bob, and she's going to do the same thing. And I'm going to spritz my canvas with water. And then I'm going to put a ground down of white and blue. So I have a nice ground to spread my acrylic, because you know, I'm going to dry a lot quicker than they are. So that's going to be my strategy, to lay that ground down for the blending of happiness.
Well, that's Southern Bob. Our cousin Southern Bob. Quite the accent Southern Bob's got.
This is I'm loud Bob. Do you even know who you're talking to?
All right.
That's right. Gloves are off. That's as soft as you get.
Soft. Happiness. This is a mellow town. We need all mellowness in our lives. Now I'm starting to have a southern accent. Gosh darn, Bob, the influence you have on me. So to those of you new to oil painting, I just want to introduce you to my solvents. So this is tail time. Can you say that with me now? Tail time. So I'm not telling a tall tale by tail time. What I'm doing is I'm using this as my cleaner. I am using this to moisturize my paints. I use it for a lot of things. Now, here's a little trick I'm going to tell you all, because I'm full of telling you my tips and secrets. You see this old can? What do you think was in there? Probably that Bob was eating sardines. This Bob over here, more likely to be having tuna. So the can's awesome. You keep the can, then you take a little old nail and you poke that gosh darn nail down into the can. And what you do is now put that can down into the container. So when you go to take your brush, you want to clean it, you just swirl it around on top of that there tin can, and you know what happens? Oh, the sediment goes down to the bottom. And you can reuse this for years gone by. In fact, this has been used for years gone by. All these happy little paintings I've been making all this time, that's a little trick for y'all to know. So we're gonna start today, we're gonna do a little mountain scene with some happy little trees and some soft little water. And what I'm going to do here, because I'm an oil painter, I like things moist. I mean, I'm sorry, you don't want to hear that. I like things wet. So what I'm going to do is I already did this before you got here because you're kind of boring to watch me do this. But I'm coating my whole canvas with a little bit of a white, with a transparentizer for oil painting. All this does is puts a ground down, because in oil we sometimes like to have a ground down. Now we're going to start with the sky. So on my this here palette here, and what I'm going to do is take a large brush, and I am going to do some dabbing into my phthalo blue. So phthalo, you know that funny one that starts with a P-H-T-A-L-O? Phthalo, it sounds like. I'm going to dab into that phthalo. Just get it into my brush. So I'm going to dab and pull. And once I get there, and I've got this on there, even distribution on my brush, I'm just going to set my palette down for a second, because now I'm going to do some crisscrossing. So I'm going to go into that and crisscross some directional strokes. I don't want this to be nice and even now. We just want to have some fun. What's the use of painting if we're not having fun? Right, Grandma?
Right.
Who's
I'm
that?
crisscrossing.
I'm going to call you Southern Bob. Right, Southern Bob?
Yeah.
Hard to believe this could potentially be a sky. I don't know. Are we having some technical issues over there?
Well, somebody was
We're just
asking
given some
what
color.
colors were being used.
Right now,
Phthalo blue
I'm using
and
phthalo
white.
blue. Now what I'm going to do is take I think I've used my clean brush. I'm going to take a clean brush. It looks a bit dirty, so I'm just going to dab it there, and I'm going to whack it. We like whacking our brush to get off the excess. And now I'm just going to take this across here. Oh, and look at the magic that happened. I'm just going to go across there. Take a little bit off, because sometimes the oil gets built up and it's maybe a little bit darker than I really wanted it. But the beauty of oils, people, is it stays nice and moist.
That's not going to be our situation.
Not
over here, Becky
nice
Roll.
and wet. No, you acrylic painters, you got to either go fast or you got to scumble. You got to have a totally different approach than those of us using oils. So I'm doing a nice vertical stroke there, evening it out. Next, what I'm going to do is put a little bit of paint down in the bottom to be the sort of the water. So I'm going to take that there phthalo blue, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of another color I found called phthalo turquoise. Just a little bit. Don't do too much. If you're using phthalo green, be careful. That stuff can take over. So I'm going to take this down at the bottom. I'm going to start on the outside edge, and I'm going to pull towards me. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other edge and pull towards me from that edge. I wonder how fast those people doing digital are keeping up with me right now. I don't know. You think it's easier. Gotta admit though, you got a function I don't have here, which is Control-Z. Oh, well. So, we know for sure that there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. So you kind of gotta roll with it. See where I'm getting into the rolling? Gotta roll in it. So I'm gonna just not roll in it. In fact, don't roll in it. I don't recommend you roll in the oil paint. Not a good idea. You gotta roll with it. So now I'm just gonna smooth that out. Now what I have here is a fan brush. One of my favorites is a fan brush. I'm just gonna take that, get it moist again, whack it off. And then I'm gonna go back in here, put a little bit of that Tautine on there, and what it's gonna do is gonna help pull up some of the paint in areas where I think I may have put a little bit too much. So the beauty of oils, you can move it around. You can move it around the canvas. You can put it down, you can take it off. As long as it's wet, you've got the ability to play with it. So that's what I'm doing now. All right. Okay. You know, my phthalo blue didn't turn out very well, but that's okay. All right. Now, it's time for, do you know what I'm doing next? Anyone? Grimsy over there. Do you know what I'm doing next? Happy little
Mountains.
Clouds.
Oh,
Yep, we're gonna go over the
jumping
clouds.
ahead.
So I'm gonna take my palette here. What I have up here is a titanium white. Titanium white's a nice white. And what I'm gonna do is dipsy-do in there. Now be careful, if you've got some active paint anywhere on your palette, you touch it, it's gonna get in there and mess up that white real fast. Remember, we already have a base layer of blue, so we don't need any more of that in there. So now what I'm going to do is just do some nice little circles. So a good way to paint clouds is just do these little circles. Already I'm finding that I had too much ground down there. Happy little circles. Definitely have a little bit too much of the blue underground, but that's okay, because like I said, no accidents. Just mistakes that happen on purpose, because somebody of a higher power is helping you. Gotta believe that, because if we don't believe that, I don't know what we believe with this pandemic going on. Something up there. Wouldn't you say, girls? Guys?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Guys?
Bob's.
I'm still on the water. I'm not on the clouds.
All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this here brush I had before, clean her up again. We'll whack it off a bit. So now all I want in this brush is the Taltine itself. And I'm going to control it a little bit. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to blend across here and just smooth out from the bottom of those clouds. I definitely would like some more white.
Do you need more white on your
Nope, nope, it's okay. Talking to myself again. I do that a lot. You have to around here because Gerber talks so much you can't get your any words when edgewise.
Listen,
Rumor.
use the chat. Alumni no welcome. They're not welcome to comment.
All right, now what I'm going to do is just take some of that Taltine there. And I'm just going to go across the whole of these, make these soft fluffy little clouds. And look at how they become so beautiful, atmospheric, like. Just sit back in there. It's like magic. Really, truly is like magic. Of course, the earth is like magic, and the clouds are like magic. It's all magic. Alrighty. So very soft, fluffy little clouds. Next. I think it's time to put in some mountains. Alrighty, are you with me now? You following along? Are you keeping up pace?
Good Lord, I gotta get my clouds in.
Here I am. Okay, so what am I going to do right now for the clouds? I am going to use a palette knife. Now you can use a spatula, you can use a painting knife or a palette knife. There's a difference. I'm not going to this episode. Another episode, perhaps I'll get there. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of black. I know, I'm not a big black painter. At least my mom Bethel, she didn't like me using much black. I'm going to take that with some phthalo blue. Mix that in there like that. Oh, don't you like that sound now? The sound?
Oh my God, that's a happy little sound.
That's a happy little sound. It sure is. Oh yeah. Just mix it up really nice because we want that black to not be so dead. So we've got to add a little bit of that blue in there. Mixy, mixy, mixy. And then what I'm going to do is suggest mountains. Now, in a while since I've been to the mountains. They keep me holed up here in this place. So it's not something I get to do very much of. But I'm going to just take this, scrape down, up, and down again. I'm going to go on the other side, do another little peak or a valley. And then we have that. So it looks kind of cool, eh? Yeah, pretty good, eh? I'm kind of excited about it. But we need to get some dimension to this. So what I'm going to do is just scrape up a little bit. Pull down. And then I might even take my brush, my 1-inch brush, and just smooth it out. So I've got nothing in this brush. Just a little bit of Taltine. Tailing that tail once again. That tail and that tail, that tongue. Doesn't look much like a mountain yet, does it? That's okay. We will make this mountain sing. So I think that's what mountains do. Don't you think so, Bob?
say.
Oh, great, I'm humming. That was me humming.
Yeah, we're not allowed to sing these days, people, not at least in the building, so you can just imagine what we're like in our cars. We get into those cars and man, we're singing like a crazies. Okay, I'm just gonna soften this edge a little bit. You want it to look a little bit like it's hazy, misty, blendy edge. Isn't it beautiful that oils can do that? They're just so sexy. I don't know. Next thing I'm gonna do is do a little bit of I'm missing another palette knife. Hey, who's stolen my, oh, nobody stole it. I'm always blaming somebody before I found the real thing. I do that all the time. I do that with my kids too. Who took all of my food? Nobody, I just hid it. All right, so I'm gonna put a bit of white. Oh, you know what I forgot to do in the mountains? I often put a little bit of red in the mountains, but I forgot to do that. Apologize. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this white here. I'm not going to mix anything in it because my paint is very wet. And what I'm going to do is just get the right amount on the edge of that palette knife. And I'm going to go down the side. So I'm going to think about it like it is the snow on the side of the mountain. And I'm just going to allow it to drag down. Creating a little bit of a texture, that's great. Get lots of texture on mountains. And I'm going to go here and also go down this peak. And bring it down. And I'm going to go down on this peak over here and go down. And I have a little bit of too much of the blue on my painting right now, but that's okay because we got to work with what we got. I should have probably scraped a little bit off. I'm going to take this with a white here, a little bit of blue. I'm going to do the same thing down on the other side, but this is mixed in a little bit, so it's a softer blue, because this is the shadow side of the mountain. Trees will be okay.
Acrylic bombs.
I'm going to do now.
Mind your brushes. When you're in between using them, and if you are not cleaning them in between, you've got to set them in the water or else they'll dry.
What I'm going to do now is just going to soften this,
Ms.
dab
Capay,
off.
you have a call 100, please. Ms. Capay, a call 100.
I even dab off on my cloth a little bit, and I'm just going to go to these edges. Got to get a little bit of misty. I'm going to get a bit of misty-eyed when I see these paintings in the end, I'm sure. Misty-eyed, I'm not sure what from, but I'm going to be misty-eyed. And just soften those edges.
I'm mixing up like a mountain color. I'm just going with my
Alrighty.
blues, maybe a little bit of a red. Okay. I went Prussian white, red.
Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn you over to my cousin Bob.
Thank you.
And Bob is going to continue on and help you to see how to put in the land and the trees. And we'll come back and have another chat later.
We're at mountains over here.
Oh, should we check in over here with cousin Bob and see if cousin Bob?
Cousin Bob got caught up with the water and we're moving to mountains.
Uh-huh.
But we'll go to mountains now.
See, the thing with acrylic, if you work fast enough, you can get a similar technique. You just can't be slow.
So I loaded up a bunch of stuff on my palette knife, if you have a palette knife, and I'm just gonna cut the mountain in, like my cousin Bob.
All right.
Gruber, Bob, do you want to move over here so we can get you and Bob Lynch at the same time?
Have you got your mountains in already?
I got my mountains, I got my clouds, and I got my
Good Lord,
streams.
Bob.
Because I did those mountains.
All right, hello friends at home. Thank you for joining us today. We're gonna do a little painting of some happy trees and some landscapes in here. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just adding a little bit of titanium white onto my palette knife here. I'm just cleaning up some of these edges here a little bit. So just really gently caress your canvas with your knife. And you don't want to add too much white. Just want to keep it nice and soft. All right. what I'm gonna do on the other side here is I'm gonna add in a little bit of highlight coming from the other side as well, but I'm gonna mix that color up here. So I'm gonna get a little bit of titanium white, and I'm gonna add in a little bit of my Prussian blue, just a little bit. Happy little color there. Once I have that nice soft blue, I'm gonna come on in on the other side here. Just very softly and gently add in some side. And you can always adjust your color if you find it's too light. Just want to get those nice highlights. Get some peaks going in our mountain here. Oh no, sorry.
Happy little spider.
All right. Got our nice mountains. And you can always push around that color, especially if you're working with oil, because oil, the nice thing about oil is you can work with it for a long time. It doesn't dry out on you. So we can push that color around until we get a nice surface that we like for our mountain. A little bit of texture. All right, so now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna add some happy little foothills to our mountains. So I'm gonna put away my palette knife and I'm gonna get out my oval brush and I'm gonna mix up a nice color for some foothills. So I'm gonna take my palette here. This is my oil palette that I'm working with. And hopefully you all have those colors set up at home. I'm gonna add, actually I'm gonna take this blue color that I already mixed. Maybe add a little bit more blue. Add a little bit more white. But what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna use my knife for my mixing because I don't wanna get my brush all dirty.
Oh, it's just over there. You can't see me from there.
No, I can't.
So I'm mixing up a nice soft blue. I'm gonna add some sap green to that blue. It's soft.
That's a sappy color, they say.
I'm gonna go for a happy little.
I like my happy little sap green for my soft little foothills here in the distance. I think I might add a little bit of black, or maybe a Payne's gray, which is a little lighter than my faux black, just to kind of gray out that color there. Kind of like that color. Another tip if you're trying to gray out your colors is you can add the complementary color. So I'm using a sap green here. I could also add in a little bit of my cadmium red, and that would tone down that color for me. Maybe I'll try a little bit of that cadmium. Okay. Got a happy little color there.
Happy, happy, happy. Oh, that's another.
Okay, so my color's mixed. I'm gonna put my mixing knife down, pick up my brush, and it's already got a little bit of blue on it, but that's okay. I'm gonna take my brush, just blend it into my color here.
Vivek, you have a call 100.
Get it
Vivek,
nice
call
and coated.
100, please.
Got those bristles nice and coated for our happy little foothills. All right, now you're gonna come to the canvas and you're gonna choose a spot. So decision time, you just gotta pick some place here. And we're gonna very softly get a nice little dry brush effect here. Get these foothills. Just very soft. Just gonna tickle that canvas.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
You say, boy. Your boy.
Matthew Lisk is in the house.
You got a big belly,
Matthew
Ross.
Lisk in the
Yeah,
house.
I got a belly, and oh, I see I got my shirt covered in paint already, so clearly I can't control where this belly goes.
That's amazing.
All right.
Bob's been having too much lemonade out in the front porch. Since we become southern.
Since we're southern and all.
Listen, happy little happiness over here.
Oh, dang.
So we're just gonna get those nice
Matthew,
and soft.
you should be running this camera, not me.
Nice and soft. And what we want to do with these foothills is we want to layer them because that's going to give us some depth. So the more layers you add in, the more depth you get to your painting here. So we're going to take our nice mixed green and we're going to go a little bit darker in the next layer here. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my Payne's gray, a little bit more of my sap green.
So we call it atmospheric perspective, you know? Some of the kids at home have been learning this stuff for a couple of years, might know that.
We love our atmospheric perspective. So we're gonna come right in front of that first layer of foothill trees there. We're just gonna dab nice and soft. And we're gonna add in another layer. And we can add some more cad red if we want to tone it down a little bit because we don't want these trees too bright. Gotta get the illusion of atmosphere. Nice and soft. And you can do a little bit of dabbing here. Get that nice texture for your trees. So we got a couple layers of foothills here. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add in some
the greens.
evergreens.
The greens,
The
atmosphere.
greens.
I'm coming home.
All right. So we got our mountains on our acrylic Bob Ross painting. Follow along at home with your acrylics. We're gonna put a layer of evergreens in front. So we really want to bump up that atmospheric perspective. So I'm gonna mix a color for my evergreens, but I'm gonna make this color darker. So we can start with the color of our foothills here, and we can add in some black this time. We really want to deepen that up there.
We got a Bob catastrophe.
Oh.
Don't worry, I'm cleaning every night.
Painting the new tables.
Kids these days, they gotta get out and Lavelle goes, so it's Cinderella over here.
Disadvantaged. Catastrophe Bob is under control.
Okay, I'm gonna add some Prussian blue to my mixture for my evergreens. Nice and cool. Get those happy little trees on our happy little canvas. What else do we want here? This time I'm gonna add in
The next happy little painters.
a little
Baby
bit of
Bob.
crimson.
What's my map color? I gotta go sap to.
Sap, so we're going sap green. We're using a little bit of white and a little bit of our black or our Payne's gray.
Sap and then just darker. Got it.
Yeah, and then we're just darkening.
I'm back on track,
Darkening
Bob.
each layer.
Sap green.
So you see your alizarin crimson is a little different from your cadmium red.
I say that one. I see alizarin.
Do you, alizarin?
I say
Maybe it's alizarin.
Alizarium, aluminum, aluminium.
Hey, I'm from the States. I'm Southern Bob.
Oh my.
I come up with my
Do you
own.
vote for anybody? Let's not get into politics.
Let's not get into politics today. We want to keep this a happy little podcast today.
We have a big Bob fan who's giving us many Bob quotes in the chat.
Oh, please.
John McFadden and Bob just said,
What did Bob say?
What is Bob? What's Bob saying?
where was the one about the news, John? We want happy paintings. Happy paintings. If you want sad things, watch the news. That's a good
Very
one.
true,
That's
John.
a good one.
So,
That's a
Becky
good one.
Bob, are you on the trees?
I can be.
Or it's the lighter green of the two greens?
I knew that part with brush.
Oh, I'm using.
You can use your oval brush.
This one?
Yes, with the oval tip.
That's the one I have.
Yes. That's that one.
Filbert.
That's a good one.
It's huge.
It's called the filbert. Look at those
Green,
guys.
right, and I got it, I dull it down right there, baby Bob.
Silverts are some of my favorite brushes.
Yes. Yes, so we're toning that green down. We're toning it right down. So once you have a nice dark, deep color for your
I
evergreens,
think I might need some, you might have to pull in a bit of that. Ugh,
we're gonna come back
terrible
here.
color.
And you know what we're gonna do actually before that? I'm gonna take my big, broad, larger brush, and I'm gonna go over and just very lightly, I'm gonna just feather out my trees in the
Jeez,
background.
Bob.
Just get a little bit of more atmosphere.
I went rogue over here on rogue Bob. I put some red in my green.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you
I've
can
been
do
putting
that.
red in the green.
Makes a nice deep dark green.
Yeah, we're
Why would
toning
that be at home,
that
Bobs?
green down.
Why would I have put my red in
I
my
know
green?
that.
What do you think, Bob's at home?
Can someone get the answer to that question? It better be one
Yes.
of my 12s or else I don't know.
It's gonna be one of my
Put it in the
tens.
chat.
It should be.
Put the answer in the chat.
Why
Why
did
do we
I
add-
dull down my really way too bright green with red?
That doesn't make sense. Red, make something dull. Break.
So
She's
bright.
crazy over here. I told you, I'm gone rogue Bob.
Why does it work?
Gabby Crism says they are complementary colors.
That's right,
There you
that's
go.
right. You know, listen, tens, this is an alumni schooling you. You can do it. Where's my glass?
All right, so I'm covering my fan brush next. This is what I'm gonna use for my little evergreens. And I'm gonna get that nice and coated with paint on both sides. Nice and thick.
Whoa.
And we're gonna get that tip as thin as we can there. So we're gonna try to really get that paint on our tip.
To neutralize the green.
Thank you. Who said
Yes,
that?
Zoe Kirsch.
You made me happy, Zoe.
Okay, that's all right.
All right, so we're gonna add in some evergreen trees in front here. So
Top
let's
that
add
one.
in a layer.
That's a good egg.
And we're just gonna use the tip of our fan brush. We're gonna get it nice and loaded. Lots of paint. And there's no mistakes here. But we don't want it to look
Little accidents.
like a
Happy
picket
accidents.
fence.
That's
So we
another
wanna get-
favorite of that John's been putting in the chat. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents.
Just happy.
If I paint something, I don't want to have to explain what it is. That's a good quote.
Is that one that our cousin Bob said?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's a wise man.
And good looking, I might add.
Fine beard.
Gorgeous.
Fine beard.
Yeah. We're kind of trying to be like Hunzy.
You should have seen Mr. Huntsberger short. You want a beard catastrophe extravaganza.
Oh, yeah.
You can't even.
Don't
make that crap
don't
up.
even get started about the shorty beard.
Nice and thin on the top there, and then we're just gonna add in some volume at the bottom.
Good Lord, Bob, are you on the trees?
We're on the trees.
Good Lord, Bob.
Well, I'll tell you something, Bob. This is easier than marking.
Oh, much more fun.
Much more fun than marking.
There is that.
I say though, good marking though is a treasure, isn't it?
It really is.
Good
Yeah,
marking is a treasure.
truly.
All right. So we don't want these trees to be too bright. We want to make sure we got our atmosphere just right. And again, if we add more layers, we're going to get that illusion of depth. So don't be too precious about these trees. You don't have to take too long to get them in. We're just gonna,
I'm sorry, cousin Bob. Tree color, I'm Prussian blue here. What's the deal?
we're doing Prussian blue, some sap green, some alizarin crimson,
Crazy, another Prussian.
and some black to darken it right up there.
Use absolutely no pressure, just like an angel's wings.
Oh,
Isn't that a beautiful image from Cousin Bob?
Beautiful,
How you doing,
cousin
Becky Bob?
Bob.
Oh my lord, it's lime green, Becky Bob. It's been changed.
Just like an angel's
I
wing.
figured it was appropriate. You gotta see what's going on over here.
Let's check out Becky Bob.
No, just your fancy hairs. Look at these fancy hairs. We're painting with green, so I'm going green.
There we go. Super fun. We're getting close to Halloween, so you gotta pull out the costumes, kids.
This is my real hair. What are you talking about?
So I'm just going back in with a smaller fan brush here. Adding a little bit more detail and some layers so we can get that illusion of depth going on the trees here.
Right, so I'm cutting in trees. I'm cutting in trees
We're
now, Bob.
cutting in some trees. Okay, we're good.
Happy trees, happy trees.
Happy trees.
I think I need a smaller knife. Accio knife. I want a baby. Oh, okay.
Get those tips.
Happy trees again. So we're doing these trees. That's great. Nice, let's do it. This looks great. That's perfect. That's a nice. You're ahead of me.
Lilo?
Yeah.
Phalo.
Put the yellow. Horrible. Oh, please. My napkins need help.
All right. So we want these trees to be nice and feathered at the bottom here. Very soft. Just caress that canvas. Nice and soft. But we want to cover up that blue behind as well.
Baby bump Bob. Are you
Mm-hmm.
using your fan brush?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's fan time.
It's fantastic. All right. So we got our layers on our trees. A little bit of depth happening there. We got that blue covered. Now what we're going to do, because we covered this canvas up with a nice magic white, and Bob Bethel showed us how to do that with our, either if we were using acrylic, I think we mixed our white down with water, or if you're using oil, you're going to mix that mixing white or that titanium white down with some linseed oil or another type of oil if you have oils at home. And now we're going to come in and grab our big brush here. And we're going to add in some reflections on our pond here. So we're going to add in some nice little reflections here. Just take that nice big broad brush and we're going to take that paint and just pull it down. And it should glide nice and easy on top of that primed oil there. Ooh-wee. Pulling that down. Grabbing all that wonderful paint we've got on our canvas. And we're making a nice horizon line here. All right. So we got a nice reflection on the water there. And what we want to do now is we want to very softly and gently, we're just going to clean our brush with a little bit of mineral spirits. We're going to whack it off there, get all that extra paint off.
Whack that good hard there, baby bump Bob.
And we're going to come around and go over our nice reflections the other way. So we're going to create some nice ripples in the water here. Okay, so we're just creating that soft illusion of reflections there. Nice and easy. All right. So I'm gonna clean off my small fan brush. And I'm gonna come back in and just add a little bit of white. So
I'm
you
gonna
can
take
use
a
your-
slight deviation from my background trees and pull in some of the reflections now, and then I'll put my color on top. So just keep on rogue over here. Rogue.
There's a question,
Mhm.
but doesn't water break down the binder in acrylic paint, causing it to flake off?
In acrylic
In
paint.
acrylic?
Oh, acrylic paint, I guess, yeah.
Well, if you have a blending medium, you could use that, or a retardant. You could also use that.
Say, I don't understand the question. Did you say it again?
Doesn't water break down the binder in acrylic paint, causing it to flake off?
Water is the binder.
Yeah, it's a water-based paint.
Like if it's at that tacky stage, yes, you can lift it off.
Yeah.
But if it's dry, you can paint over it, and if it's wet, you're blending wet into wet. It is literally plastic polymer mixed into paint, like into water rather.
Yeah, if it gets too thin, sometimes you can have issues, but
There's a real gross stage
It'll create
where
a
it lifts.
skin. It can create a skin is what they're getting to there. Yeah.
It can lift, yes.
I'm just gonna take my fan brush, add a little bit of mix and wet. My trees and stuff. And what I need to do next is I'm gonna add in some nice reflections on the water. So I'm gonna take my knife.
I'm interrupting Bob now. So I've got my background, and then I've got to make, for intensity, for atmospheric perspective, I've got to pull the brighter one into the foreground. So I'm actually going to make a slightly darker version of these trees to put in front of these. So it's layered, 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 back we go.
Nice work, Bob.
All right, so I'm adding
Whoa.
a pre-mixed mixture of walnut oil and mineral spirits to get that mixing white that our other cousin Bob loves to use to get his whites nice and thin. I'm gonna take my knife and mix that all in there. So it's more the consistency of cream than butter. All right, so once that's nice and thin, I'm gonna pick up a little bit on the edge of my brush so you can see, or sorry, the edge of my knife there. You can see the paint is gathered right at the edge. So I'm gonna take that sharp edge of my knife and I'm gonna run it along the bottom of the trees and just give it nice. You can pick up a little bit more.
Here's another good Bob quote.
Ready?
Ever make mistakes in life? Let's make them birds. Yeah, they're birds now.
We please, Bob.
Yeah, keep them coming, Bob.
How come he's Bob too? Is he Bob too?
I think we all.
He's
can be
honorary Bob.
Honorary.
Yeah.
Honorary Bob. John has
We're
all
all
of the
Bobs
Bob
tonight.
knowledge.
I'd say so.
All right. Got a nice little reflection.
Oh my God, Bob!
How do you make a
Losing
round
some
circle?
canvas.
How do you make a round circle with a square knife? That's your challenge for the day.
Like John.
This is all John that's got these. Yeah.
He's probably got the top 20 Bob sayings.
Oh,
Well
there's way
done,
more
John.
than 20. That's pretty much all that's happening in the chat. Is John is giving us Bob Ross quotes.
Welcome to my classroom.
Thanks, John. All right.
Well, Reagan, I don't know. You're being upstage.
Yeah, yo, bro. What's
Apparently,
going on, bro?
she's got all her Bob merch in the background of her.
Yeah, I have it all behind me right here. I can't post any quotes in the chat because I'm.
We want to see that outfit.
Reagan, you better,
I don't have my
you better send
afro.
Gruber that photo, yeah?
Okay.
Of herself with all her bob stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, Reagan.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna clean off my knife so I can use it to mix some color for some more evergreen trees. So we're gonna use a bigger brush. Bigger brush for our evergreens. So our last evergreens, we used the fan brush. This time we're gonna use a nice big brush. We're gonna get it nice and thin at the tip there. I'm gonna show you that technique. Okay. So we're going to get some black here. And some of my favorite Prussian blue.
My favorite too, Bob.
My favorite too, Bob.
And we're gonna add some more sap green. I'm going through that sap green today. I also like my sap green.
All right.
Sap green in there. They're all friends, so we can mix them all together. Nice and cohesive here. Make a happy little color. All right, let's just warm this up a little bit, tone it down, some crimson. How about that?
Warm it up, tone it down. Which way you going? Up and down.
We're doing both.
Really happy everybody joined us today.
Yeah.
We're having lots of fun here today.
A little stress and happiness.
A little stress releaser for sure.
Oh, yeah.
In Yellowstone with green snow.
Oh my gosh, you're still not getting progress for it.
That's another
All right. So once we find a color that we're happy with here,
Oh my God, I just put paint all over myself. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm putting it on the floor too, if you haven't noticed.
we're gonna take a big old brush, looks like this.
Trees cover up a multitude of sins.
Oh my God, indeed
Bob
they
Ross.
do.
The trees live in the brush, don't you know?
Now, Bob, didn't Bob come in and put a little shadow, a highlight reflected along the water at some point in time? Did you do
You
that already?
did, and I did do that
With
already.
the fine liner
I
brush?
did that already. Actually, what I used was a palette knife.
OMG, Bob, I am behind.
You can use a palette knife, or you can use a fine little brush,
Dear Lord, okay.
whatever you like at home. And we're gonna load up our brush here with lots of paint. Nice and thick. Drag that paint. We want that tip to be nice and thin, like a chisel edge. So make sure you don't have any lumps in your brush. All right. So this color looks very dark, but once we apply it to our canvas, it'll look a little lighter because it'll be on top of our mixing white and all of our blues. So we're gonna just pick a place. Again, we gotta just pick and go for it. And we're gonna do a nice little thin line, like so. And we're gonna use the corner of that little chisel brush that we've got here. Nice thin edge. And we're just gonna come over our tree here and use the side and just add in some of that. And we can add more paint as we go. I'm getting some lumps in my paint, so I'm just making sure those lumps aren't coming out on the brush.
You Bobs may appreciate there's a couple of stories here from Cousin Bob's family.
Oh dear.
Oh, let's hear Cousin Bob's
Here's a
stories.
quote. He's a quote from a couple of quotes about family stories. I remember what my dad told me as a kid. If you want to catch a rabbit, stand behind a tree and make a noise like a carrot. Then when the rabbit comes by, you grab him. Works pretty good until you try to figure out what kind of noise a carrot makes. Ooh, if you have never been to Alaska, go there while it's still wild. My favorite uncle asked me if I wanted to go there, Uncle Sam. He said, if you don't go, you're going to jail. That is how Uncle Sam asks you.
All right, getting our green tree in here. Just going side to side with that side of our chisel brush. We're gonna go all the way down.
Attention all staff, the fire panel is now back online. Business as usual. Thank you.
What's
Well, that's
useful?
early, Bob.
We didn't get the fire alarm. That we might have had another alarm. I want to get lots of layers happening.
You know you're happening if you got some layers. Kind of like Shrek, I guess.
Kind of like an onion.
Kind of like an onion.
Or a parfait.
Everybody likes pasta.
Well, I'm gonna have Shrek flashbacks for the rest of my life, actually. Pretty much sure of that. By the way, if you notice me using some towel time to get some oils off my hands, it's actually better to use vegetable oil or baby oil because they're more natural, but I'm kind of not being very careful that way. But if you do use any kind of oil, you never want to put them right in the garbage. You want to put them in here. Safety container until it dissipates. That way you won't have it combusting on you. So with oils, we got to be a little bit more careful than the acrylics.
That's because I'm reckless, Bob, over here.
Reckless, Bob.
Gonna add in a nice second tree here.
Well, you're on the trees, the big trees, Bob?
Big trees.
Holy macanoly.
Look at that, we got like 3 minutes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 4 minutes. 4
Oh
minutes.
boy.
This is
Time
gonna,
flies when you're having
we're going
fun.
overtime on Bob over here.
Now it's gonna be speed painting time.
Oh boy.
Speed painting.
All right, I gotta speed my
Uh-uh.
roll here. Having too much fun with this canvas.
Kara McDonald says, I feel like in 20 years, I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'm thinking about the time 3 teachers dressed as Bob Ross in a pandemic to paint happy little trees.
Well, that's exactly right.
Uh-huh.
Every day is a good day when you paint. That's a
Oh,
good one.
I like that.
I haven't painted in a very long time. This is a good
That's
day.
no wonder we've been having not good days.
You haven't been painting enough,
We
friends.
haven't been having good days. Maybe
You're
we shouldn't be
right.
coming into the school.
Maybe
I
we should
have
say how we
not
paint.
Hey, Bob.
Yay. I hear ya.
We've been having a lot of rough days, just like the kids out there, I'm sure.
Yeah. Gotta
Kinda
do some more
feeling like
painting.
A lot of rough days these
A
days.
lot of rough days.
All right. I'm just gonna
You know-
speed these in.
Oh my
Maybe
God,
they're
Bob.
just, I don't even know, happy little days that we don't see, because I don't know. Anyway.
All right. I'm moving on, Bob. What am I gonna
Moving
do
on.
next? I'm on to my trees?
Onto the trees.
Oh, crikey. Tell me about my colors for that.
Crikey, you've been calling Australian now.
Is that it? Am I set? No. What am I? What are my tree colors?
So our tree colors, we got our sap green, we got our Prussian blue, we got some black, and some alizarin slytherin. Sorry.
Slytherin? It's Harry Potter now.
Now this,
I got
can get
Harry
behind.
Potter on the brain.
Oh my God, I got so distracted.
That's why I can't call it alizarin, because like I always mix it up and call it
Slytherin.
I need more.
Guys, it's too close.
So sap green, Prussian blue?
Prussian blue, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not my sap green.
Here's a beautiful quote. Look around. Look at what we have. Beauty is everywhere. You only have to look to see it.
That is beautiful.
That's a lovely quote.
Lovely.
All right, well, I am gone rogue here. I don't know where sap green is. We're going permanent green.
You like permanent green too, I know that about you.
Don't like it, actually. I just get stuck.
All
with
right.
it.
So
Oh,
we're not
no,
going to
it's
go
not
all the way to the
permanent.
bottom with
Brilliant.
these trees because
I
we're going
do
to
like
cover them
brilliant.
up with some happy little bushes in front. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some highlights onto my trees. So,
Oh dear, he's got lucky bushes on that side.
gonna get my mixing knife.
I'll give a little shout out right about now to our alumni that have joined us today.
That's right, Alon.
I don't know what kind of got into your brains that even made you do this, but good on us.
All right, I'm gonna mix in some yellow here. Make a nice soft black highlight color there.
Our Prussian blue, our fan.
So that's my cadmium yellow. I'm gonna take my smaller fan brush here. Just pick up that paint. Tip nice and thin.
Oh, I brought this in just so I could be like Bob.
What's that, Bob? Oh, that's a nice one, Bob.
Add some highlights here.
That is being like Bob. Gotta admit, I got so many brushes, materials at home I don't use. Kind of sad.
Same.
It is.
Yep. Some
Okay,
people
so
in our
unloved.
family might call it clutter.
They're wrong, those people. Okay, he goes, I'm deciduous on the right, or whatever, like puffy round ones on the right. Is that deciduous, coniferous?
Coniferous.
Puffy round ones?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Wait.
I really don't know.
You don't know. Deciduous are leaf trees. Coniferous are evergreens.
Say it again?
Good thing
Not
Mr. Van
green
Worker's not here anymore. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I don't know why he took off. Couldn't handle it.
He owns a Bob Ross wig, I found out.
Really?
I would like to see that.
I would too.
Gabby says the alumni's needed a break too.
Yeah. True.
So
We miss you, happy little alumni.
I feel like I'm too dark over here. It's okay. We'll just apply this in and come
Some
back.
good times to be had by those alumni.
Oh
I
my
want to
lord.
see those nice bright highlights.
Messy Hillary.
on top.
Messy Hillary, you still there?
Messy Hillary.
Messy Hillary, shout out.
Gabby, Kimberly, I still have my design police hat you made me.
Is Kimberly here too? I thought
Yep.
she wasn't
Kimberly?
here. Wasn't right there.
Thank you
I
for coming in.
don't think so. I don't think I let her in
I
now.
think she couldn't come in.
Well, I still have the design police hat. Delivered to my front doorstep one day. Yeah, I'm coming back to you. You're not the color for me right now there. Big trees on the left, yeah? Oh, I gotta do that business. Oh, dear Lord.
Mhm.
Keep praying.
Lots
over
of
there.
happy lemon trees.
Yeah, that works for you.
Pray to the old gods and the new. See how many geeky fantasy fiction fans there out there. Lindsay will get it.
Yeah.
What I like about brushes,
Oh my God, that's too
you
much.
kind of use them this way and
This
this
is
way,
crazy.
this
Look
way.
at this.
Use
That-
a palette knife.
That is an awful lot of paint up there, Bob.
I don't know. I'd be putting the brush through that.
We're gonna spread that out.
Yep.
That's a whole lot of paint.
So anyone working on the foreground, maybe we can jump ahead.
Are you kidding? I just started my trees.
Yeah, not how you doing at home.
How are they doing at home?
Wow.
Following along.
Yeah, it seems to be okay.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna come in here on the other side now. We're gonna do our other trees here.
I have a problem with a cap that won't open.
So we're gonna go lighter for our other trees. I'm gonna use this color that I already mixed and add a little bit more yellow. And I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow ochre.
Now, Bob, do I start with the green and then add the brown? Does that make sense to you?
You can start with the green, but usually you start with the lighter color so that you can add just a little bit of that darker color at a time. All right. I got my brush all loaded with green. I can add in some trees on the other side here.
What do you think about green? Green's the toughest color to paint with. So many blues, so many yellows. So easy to get it acidic. So you gotta be careful with it. Get to know it, befriend it, become friends.
Tap the devil out of that brush there, Bethel.
Tap the devil out of that
Whack
brush.
it.
That's another Bobism.
Whack it.
Whack it.
Whack it.
You gotta paint
Bob
it.
always has to put a big tree in there too.
Have a big tree.
He loves his trees.
I'm not happy with those trees right now. They're making me happy.
Makes friends with the trees.
Oh, I love hugging trees. There's been lots of hug trees in my neighborhood, I'll tell you that much.
Not hugging trees. I'm gonna get a bigger brush here. Over this pouring.
Gotta be friends with the trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of the things that Cousin Bob said.
How many people we have over there watching now? What are we down to? How many have we lost?
31.
Whoa,
We
nice.
just had a Jane Doe want to join. I think I'm gonna turn that down.
Jane
Can
Doe.
anybody vouch for Jane Doe?
What
Anybody
time are
vouch
we
for
at?
who Jane Doe is? Too late. I denied it. Sorry. People might look at you a bit funny, but it's okay. Artists are allowed to be a bit different. Don't we know that? Hey, Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, we would not.
Oh, gosh.
You're gonna have to put the tree in there because out of sky blue.
Stop green again. Going through that stop green.
No, it's a lot of sap green.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're speechless, I think. We've come to that point.
You're just so into
I know
these
what happens. You
paintings.
get painting and you kind of lose track of time. You lose track of what's going on in the world.
Mhm.
Things
Nice
don't
thing
seem
about
as important anymore. That's why we paint. Otherwise, we obsess over the
Mhm.
things that
Yeah,
really
thank
aren't
you.
important
Oh,
anymore.
yeah, bushes in front, right? Yeah, bushes. You just stumble in some bushes. All right, come on, bushes.
Rumbling in some
Rumble
bushes.
some bushes.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to end this in about 6 minutes.
Oh, no, not there.
We're already at 3:38
Oh,
there. Ladies, Bob's.
Listen, I'm coming, I'm trying.
I'm trying to get my color
Don't
just
we all
right here.
identify as a Bob? We're all a little bit of Bob.
Yeah.
Bob's a little bit of us.
Too green.
That's a new quote. We'll just send that to Cousin Bob.
Yeah.
No, it's been hard enough having a mask on these days. Having a mask and a beard, woof.
That's a
It's-
little,
it's
I don't know
quite
how
something,
Cousin
Bob.
Bob
little
does it.
hot.
It's hot, that gets hot. I tell you.
And now I'm doing just slapping silly with this thing.
Me too.
I'm just taking the brush, putting it
Mhm.
down in the color,
Just get the background color. I'm gonna add
and
It's
just
hard.
patting it away.
It's craziness over here.
It's craziness, I know.
some layers here.
Oh,
I like
Back
the
to
layers.
onions. Back to onions and layers again. Can't seem to get away from the.
Get up those layers.
Oh, dear alarm, Bob.
Uh-oh.
Don't be alarmed. Just an alarm.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I need some brown in here now.
Oh man, I love the sexiness of this there. Oil paint.
Oh, I love oil paint. Just a buttery consistency.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with the dark color now. Down here.
Need to stretch. We need a 7-minute stretch here.
Yeah. Take some walks.
Keep my dog for that. She loves to give me, but I'll take her with me.
Just locking this color in.
Okay, I'm moving into sap green and yellow. I've lost track of you, Bob. I don't really know.
I think next time we go to the mountains, we do it en plein air.
Oh,
Yes!
There we
let's
in?
do that.
Are we into that?
Oh, yeah. So I'm just getting different colors of greens, some sap green, some yellow ochre.
Got me a sun out there now, I'll tell you.
Gonna go visit him.
Too far.
I'm
Too
gonna
far
wa-
away.
wash my brush off. Mineral spirit.
You are whacking that happy. Happy little twins in over there.
More yellow ochre. I'm gonna get some maple yellow in here. There's some cadmium yellow. Putting that right up there.
It's okay, Bob.
Fill that
How
all
was that?
red.
How was it walking the view, Bob?
That's okay.
Sorry, Bob.
Well, yeah, we have to thank our cinematographer today.
Mm-hmm.
Hansi, shout out.
Camera, Bob.
Didn't know she was doing it either.
All until
True story.
Kind of got roped into this.
We can't paint and film. Thank you, Hansi.
Anytime, friends.
I'm gonna take a little bit. Of my
No, don't you
sap
be.
green and fill in the other side.
Where are you at, Bob? Oh, good Lord.
Just filling in here. Bob.
No, you're all kind of roughly in the same sort of general
Trees.
area.
We got lost in the trees.
Lost in
Down
the
to
trees.
30.
So many trees.
Oh, too much white down there.
So many trees. Okay, okay. Now I'm gonna take a little more yellow ochre. These brushes are so big, they soak up so much paint.
Oh dear, too much.
This. Lots of texture.
Well, got a bit quiet over here. Might be the full day of teaching, talked with the whole night of not sleeping. Talked
With the painting. Painting always gets you in a mellow mood.
It's hard to find the words. Not sure how Cousin Bob does it all the time, talking and painting, painting and talking.
Mm-hmm. More of that yellow ochre here.
Yeah, I think, I might need some red in here too.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I'm gonna throw in some red here. Some bright red. You know what? Just using my brush now. For sake of time.
Oh dear, look how much paint I have on there.
Get some nice pops of red in there. Be nice pop of red down here too.
Apparently, Cousin Bob's birthday is coming up.
Really?
When's your birthday, Cousin Bob?
Like real Bob?
October 28th, says Reagan.
Bob.
Wow, isn't this about
The perfect timing.
Happy Bob.
Look at that.
It got a little muddy. Right.
Oh, it's 29th. Apparently.
Just before Halloween, who would have known?
Yeah.
Bob?
Let's see what happens with the happy little.
You're really perfect timing. Yep.
All right, there we go.
Oh, I like
That
that red
brush
brush. I recommend it.
Yeah, the little pop of red is nice. Break up all those greens.
Smoosh it in there. Which,
I'm
as
smooshing.
Bob says, is not a word, but people seem to know what it means. Not a real word, but people seem to know what it means.
Everyone knows smoosh.
I can't see, Bob.
I've been having a bit of a hard time myself with the lighting in here.
Yeah.
Could be the fog on my glasses.
From the mask and the beard and the.
The layers. All those layers.
Could be that.
All right.
Just layer that
Let's
on
see
up
here.
there.
I'm gonna come in with a smaller brush, maybe my smaller fan brush, and add some details and some highlights.
Yeah, I can't see really that well, Bob. But I'll just fake it.
Getting old, Bob.
That is not an acceptable answer, Bob. I do not.
Well, we need these youngins like Lynch Bob in here.
That's right.
You got oil paints, you gotta be patient, let them dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put flowers on your bushes too.
Oh yeah. It's your painting.
You make your own
Here,
little
Let it
world.
evolve.
Your own little world.
We
As
want to see your own
Cousin
little
Bob
world.
says.
You can do
Are you
whatever
gonna
you
show us, do
like.
you think?
Yeah, can you, you folks at home, friends, can you take pictures of your pictures and send them to Gruber Bob? We want to see your pictures.
We want to see your paintings. Okay.
Oh crap, didn't he put a little happy little path in here?
He did. I think he did put a happy little
I
path.
don't
in
think
here.
so.
I think
I
Well, it doesn't
path.
matter.
What are
You
you putting
can,
the path?
you can put a path or you can
I
not
see
put
a
a path.
path.
You see a path?
I do.
See a path? Well,
You
put
see
a path in then.
Path is coming.
In the water? That's not a path.
It is.
No.
I'm telling you.
Well, maybe. You're telling me, I just gotta listen.
I'm going for it. If I don't like it, I'll paint over it. Yeah. Beautiful.
there are no mistakes.
No
Only happy
mistakes
accidents.
here.
There are only, exactly.
Your
That's
world.
one heck of a happy accident.
Well, then you've been successful.
Yes. I'm gonna put a path in here, because you might want to go for a walk. It could be happy little, look at, what's the other, there's gonna be little trout swimming over there in the water. Happy little deer going for a drink, nice refreshing drink in that water.
There we go.
Oh, I need a path.
Ms. C. Wood. There,
Oh my
Gerber,
gosh.
our good friend, our good new friend, Ms. Wood, said, on our other, she's watching. If you are not currently at the Bob Ross paint event, you want to be, she said.
Told you you were one of us. I've been telling you this for 2 decades.
Shadows.
I have to go fix those. What is going on here? This palette knife, you're being replaced. Sorry, Bob knife, you're out.
Well, Siri Bob. We should be respecting some time limits here.
Yeah,
Listen,
maybe
we started
should-
late.
Doesn't our videographer gotta get going home?
Yes. He does. Okay, now see how my path is just sticking there like a line straight up in the sky? Yuck. You know what I gotta do? Pull some bushes down in front, and break that line.
There you go.
Breaking the line.
Don't be afraid to scrape the paint off and do it again. This is the way you learn. Trial and error, over and over, repetition. It pays you great dividends. Great dividends, says Cousin Bob.
Thank you, Cousin Bob. You are so right.
It's a wise man, Cousin Bob.
Very wise.
Well, no painting's ever done.
Hmm.
You just finish at a stop at a certain point, and I think that's where we're gonna have to end today. Even though none of us really want to stop.
We could keep painting all night over here.
I'll post a photo of the paintings on the social media.
Oh, great.
So, and we'll sign them too. They'll go up for bid.
Like,
Oh, Horsey.
Bids on the paintings, guys. You could own your very own
I'm gonna put it in the art room
Bob
after.
Ross original.
And I'll be like, if you had any doubt of my ability to teach you, rest assured now. It'll be like every other demo I do. Right. Color that. Well,
I think we need to sign off.
Well, Bob Ross.
it's so nice to have you paint this.
I was trying to find, John, what's the quote that he says about when he signs off?
Oh,
We
he
need
has
the
to
quote.
line it. He has to sign it, his name in the corner.
Yeah, I have to sign it
You had it further up on the,
until we're ready.
Noah says, this was so much fun. I really wish I could have painted along, but even watching you guys was great. Oh, there it is. Thanks, John. Well, the little clock on the wall says we're just about out of time. God bless you, my friend. Take care and God bless.
The little
Right?
clock on the wall.
The little clock on the wall.
Stay well, friends. Bye from Bob.
Love to have
Bye
you.
from Bob.
Big
Thanks for painting along.
Thanks for painting. Hope you had a little happiness in there.
Hope you found some
I gotta whisper. I'm not loud enough.
Bye, everyone.
Mask Bob.